And 2003, 2004 were the golden years in Beirut. People felt there's a new wave of freedom. When I thought that maybe I want to take a step further, I don't want to keep doing all these underground parties, I spoke to the owner of Club Social back then because we had a very nice connection. He was a music freak as well, and I told him, why don't we open a club? You know, when I play in your bar on Fridays, it fits 100 people and we have 300 people outside waiting to get in. And the sound system is not great, and you know, there is a demand. I know that there is a demand from my parties. And we signed the contract for the location of the basement on February 12, 2005. I never wanted to be a club owner. I actually wanted to have a club to offer something that wasn't offered here in Beirut, and for me also to be able to play music. 2011 we shut down the basement because I wanted to throw only one party a week to focus on my own stuff. And then Acoustic was born.
Acoustic started as a party, which happened very naturally. It was just a little tiny event at Art Lounge that fit 300 people. And slowly it started growing.
And from Acoustic, I got to the conclusion that it's time to have our own venue back.
We found the rooftop of a mattress factory and we created the Grand Factory. 2 years after the Grand Factory opening, we started remembering our smaller parties. We started remembering the cozier feeling, and this is where Reunion came about.
We came to the conclusion that it's time to create this new experience. We decided to do it at the back of the Grand Factory and to create this club within a bigger club. So when you enter Reunion, you are actually inside the Grand Factory and you see that tunnel that has the basement logo. And you enter the tunnel and you have beams of light and some haze. So you feel transported from one big atmosphere as if you're crossing to another dimension.
It's also extremely important to understand the interior acoustic environment. And in particularly here, we're here to see the performance of the acoustic tunnel, which was the feature between the Reunion and the Grand Factory. You see how low the sound level is inside the tunnel compared to the two clubs. And this is the transition that people feel so much going between the Grand Factory and Reunion, is that when you're in the center of the tunnel, suddenly the sound of the Grand Factory completely stops, and then you're introduced little by little to the sound of Reunion, and it makes that experience of going from one club to the other extremely, extremely interesting.
And you walk into that tunnel and you're still hearing the sound from the Grand Factory, and you're not hearing any sound coming from Reunion, so you actually don't know what's happening in there. And then there's a corner where you turn around
and then you go into the room and suddenly the music that was outside at the factory completely turns off in just a turn.
Because it's like preparing people to go from one place to another. It's a very transitional experience between the Grand Factory and Reunion, and then you're greeted inside Reunion with this super high quality sound system.
I told Fuad what kind of sound system should we think of, and he told me, I want you to come and listen. I won't tell you the brand, just come and listen.
It's a sound system that's so old. For those of you who remember Strange Fruit, you will recognize the speakers behind me. This is the sound system that was installed in Strange Fruit. It's a club that opened in 2000 and 2001 and then closed at the end of 2002. Those speakers were dismantled from Strange Fruit, stayed in a warehouse for 20 years. They were made in 1996 and some of them as far back as 1986. And they were taken out of the warehouse, plugged back in, and they were working as perfectly as new.
I wanted something that sounded more organic, something that was warm. So that was the first time I heard the sound system that we have now, which is Stage Company. I heard it at the showroom of 21dB.
The sound is crisper than any club I've heard, to be very honest, because you feel like everything is so well dispersed, and wherever you stand in the room, you're part of the whole experience.
Once they were installed in Reunion, with the acoustics of Reunion, the combination of both just gave a really excellent sound system.
I really feel like it's an even better experience than hearing them in my headphones, which is really cool.
The first night we opened, I really didn't expect, because we came to the sound check and it sounded good, but when this place was full, it sounded like nothing I've heard before. And now it's actually my favorite room to play in.